Hello, hello. Great. So here we are to talk about Company Secretary CS. Company Secretary CS. So I'm waiting to get some quorum. Just an advisory about CS. An advisory about CS, which was formerly known as CPS, Certified Public Secretary. Certified Public Secretary. Is it a good course? Is it a good profession? That is what many people keep on asking. CS. After I finish CPA, should I go the CS way? Should I go the CIFA way? Should I go the ACCA way? Right? Right? So which one is better? CS, CIFA, or ACCA? After CPA. So I'm happy to see some of you have started joining in. If possible, please try to share this live cast with your friends. It's quite an interesting subject we shall be discussing, and it shall be very brief, less than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. So if possible, please try to share this on your timelines, on your walls. Certified Secretary. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is this adage that says that about 60-70% of startups, SMEs, collapse before they celebrate their fourth birthday. So before they hit 4 years, most of them do what here? Collapse. Why do businesses, ladies and gentlemen, whose owners had great ideas before they were incorporated, really hit a dead end even before they hit their 4th year? I've been in business for quite a long time. I'm among those people who are privileged to start businesses at a tender age. So I've done businesses for about 20 years. I've been in partnerships. I've done others alone. Others collapsed. Others survived. Yes, and to tell you the truth, the biggest challenge which brings most of this business down is the fight at the board level. A lot of wrangling. People in this case here who came together, who cannot be able to sustain their common dream together for a long time. Divided attention, right? People do not have order at the board level. So you bring in an agenda like this. An agenda had already been published and shared out in good time to the directors through their email addresses. But again, you get somebody during the board meeting, right? Somebody brings in their own issues here and there to distract the discussions. So when you want to see places, ladies and gentlemen, as a small company, it will be very important for you to start your company always with a CS. Never start a company, especially even if you are alone. Any company you're going to incorporate out there, you need to have a certified secretary, not just for purposes of paperwork, not just for purpose of enabling you open that particular company. No. This certified secretary, especially if you get an effective one, they will bring in a lot of discipline to the organization moving forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember CS is the perfect passport that you need for you to be able to access most of these boardrooms. If you want to become a director quite easily, you need, in this case here, like automatically once you are a CS, once you are in about a particular board, yes, automatically you are going there like a director, right? Even if you are not going there to help them make decisions, but your role there, trust you me, is more important than even the chairman's role. And you're going to streamline things. You're going to streamline things as a CS. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember what brings most of these organizations down is basically what brings most of these organizations down is poor corporate governance. Corporate governance. People do not understand the tenets of corporate governance. Right? So remember those key pillars. The key pillars, for example, a pillar of transparency. Transparency between the various stakeholders who are involved. Stakeholders of an organization. These stakeholders of these organizations need to speak to each other. And that is why transparency is quite key. Is quite key. Right? And we will be able to bring out these concepts of transparency very easily within an organization. It is the CS. The CS is the one who knows, for example, if this agenda has become a resolution, is the one who knows exactly how he is going to communicate with the various stakeholders who are being involved on a particular resolution. A proper CS who knows, for example, even how to take notes, meeting notes effectively, ladies and gentlemen, will make an organization to see places. To see places. How? This is somebody, for example, when you are there with the chairman and the other directors, once directors here vote for a particular agenda and they affirm it, they say now that this is how we would want to, this is how we have resolved, this is the resolution. Once it becomes a resolution, a great effective CS will automatically take that as a minute, that this is what was agreed by the board, right? And they'll be able to say who will action this, right? You must ask the directors who is in charge of this, who is going to do this work, right? And then, of course, at the end of the day, because in most cases, most of those resolutions are like projects for the organization. You must have a deadline. By when should this thing be done? So utapata wengine wanaenda kudiscuss at any board, wanaongea tu kiholela, right? Hata waandiki chochote, hata wakiandika, are those things actionable? Are they grounded in the law? Some of these resolutions that we make at some of these boards are not even well aligned with the law, right? And that is why you need a CS. That's why you need a CS, right? You'll get so many students, whenever they think of CASNEP, they only think about CPA. They don't know that there is another course within CASNEP there, which is called CS, which is a very, very big thing. CS is a good course. It's a good course. Once you become a certified secretary, ladies and gentlemen, even yourself, you will be very organized. You'll be able to know how to run a calendar. You'll be able to know how to develop the to-do list. What am I going to do today? And of course, as I do them, I should be able. So in this case, once you are a CS, ladies and gentlemen, even on matters of following up, I'm telling you, a CS is like a lawyer for an organization, is like a project manager. Why a project manager? Because even, for example, before we start the next meeting, we come for our next meeting, during our next meeting here, as we begin the meeting, a good CS must be able to call out all actions that had been agreed, must be able to review the previous meeting minutes. So during reviewing of previous meeting minutes, of course, the CS is asking a very simple question. That in our last time, we agreed about this. Aura was to do this by this. Can Aura, in this case here, give us a report on that? Those are project management skills. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that a CS automatically always also sees that whatever we are in agreement with, whatever resolutions that are being agreed upon are in line with the company's strategic direction. strategic objectives. At the end of the day, this CS knows that this company has got this goal. In the next 5 years, they should be, for example, doubling their profits. So then it will mean that every time, of course not directly, but every time these guys here resolve something, you must keep on reminding them, you've resolved here to spend like this, is this in line with the strategy, right? So working closely with the chairman, an effective CS will be able to add a lot of value to an organization. A lot of value to an organization. Now, gentlemen, I promise not take more than 10 minutes. The agreement here was that I only talk about CS and why you need to study CS at our college through our online platform. Yes, we have introduced this CS. I have teamed up with the great lecturers who are renowned in the market for this subjects of CS, which we shall start rolling from Monday of next week, not tomorrow's Monday, no, the other week. So it's important that you guys kindly talk about us out there, about CS. Get everybody. We have a WhatsApp group. If you intend to start doing this CS immediately, please talk to us. Our number is 0719 525,000. 0719 525,000. When you hit our number, we shall be able to connect you straight away to the appropriate CS group where we'll be able to air your views. So I don't know whether there is anybody who has got any question. Is there anybody who has got any question? Any question? And today I'm privileged to be giving you a live cast from my simple home in Kajiado. Kajiado County is a good county. It's a good county. The weather over here is very good. Great. So I'm waiting in this case here to hear whether there is anybody who has got any question. Yeah, Gilbert, you are welcome. There is quite a lot we can discuss about CS, and given the new syllabus, now they have brought in papers that I personally like. Like they brought one paper in advanced level called board dynamics. Remember, at the board level, the only thing that is ever constant at the board level is change. Change, right? I mean, these directors, remember, even if it's, for example, directors of a SACCO, directors of whatever, at the end of the day, they have to subject themselves, for example, to some re-election. So some of these guys during the election will be voted out. You'll be having new people coming in. How do you start in this case here, for example, with competence development of these directors who have just joined in? Remember, most of them are coming in as newbies. They have never been directors in any company, right? So you need at least from the word go to put to them insights which are required, knowledge which is required of them as they run through the board agendas, right? So competence development is quite key for them, right? Guiding them through the processes. I mean, there is quite a lot. Remember, we have what we call a board charter. A board charter has to be given to any new board member, and even you are the one as a CS who has that mandate of explaining the board charter to them. Let them, for example, know that if they're required to come to the organization, for example, 10 meetings in a year, if they don't appear in, say, 75%, depending on the agreements in the charter, if they don't appear, for example, in 7 out of 10 meetings, then automatically in the subsequent year, I mean, they will be considered ineffective and they'll be chased away, right? Take them through the concept of board committees, right? Try to gather some of the skills that these guys have for you to be able to know which appropriate committees you're going to, or rather you should advise them to join. Because remember, most of these boards are normally run through committees. We have the audit committee. We have, for example, the remunerations committee, nominations committee, depending on the size of what year, the size of the company, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing you're supposed to know, let me advise you here from the word go. It will be very important for you to start taking seriously this course called CS. After all, if you are a CPA, you are exempted from doing about 10 papers. You only do 8 papers, and you are at home. You become a CS. And for those of you who hate mathematics, of course, you know that CS has got very few mathematical papers. Like in part 3, you only have one paper, the finance paper, right? All the other papers are what here, they are theoretical and they are very easy. The only thing you need is to get somebody who is so good at these like board concepts, etc., to take you through. And there you are at home. Because whether you like it or not, one of the fine days you'll get yourself being a board member. And once you become a board member who does not have the secretarial knowledge, then you become useless. When you have secretarial knowledge, you know simple things. In this case here, I normally sympathize. There is like a board that I sit in at the moment where people are too noisy. At times you get even somebody, I don't know, for whatever reason, somebody in this case here, just up on little few issues here and there. Somebody is jumping on the table. I mean, you realize that these are guys, even if they have masters or whatever, there are key skills that they are missing. If they did CS, they would be behaving the way they are behaving at the moment. So CS is a very important course. I wish I was a young man today. This is one of the courses that I would have really taken so seriously. CS is a good course. Somebody may tell you it's not very good, but I know. I've already done my research. CS is a good course. Is there anybody who has a question? How can we talk for more than an hour without you guys asking a question or saying something? Are you going to help Mwalimu here look for CS students? It's an online program, remember. It's an online program. We teach you through Zoom. That reminds me that there is a student who was telling me the other day, Mwalimu, I would rather physical classes. Physical classes, then you don't know where the world is heading towards. With this corona pandemic, so many things will be ICT based moving forward. Like myself, where I work, now I've got more than a year without stepping in my office, and I'm able to do effectively everything from home, which are required of me, right? So the workplace of an accountant is really changing. It has gone ICT purely, where even our information is being stored on the clouds up there, so that should I move away even from Kenya, I don't need even to carry my laptop. If I just get any machine, even if I go to America, I get any machine from there. So long as I'm able to log into my database, I'll be able to retrieve my information from there, and I should be able to work really. And now, given that our workspaces are really changing, right, to virtual platforms, I mean, even training should change immediately. We should be able to embrace Zoom. We should be able to embrace, for example, Teams. So you'll get somebody, for example, who is aspiring to become a certified secretary, who will be running boards, where some board members will be in Europe, others will be in whichever countries, whichever continents, etc. You will be required to run these particular boards from wherever you are, from home, and you don't want to learn these things. So you get somebody who wants to become a certified secretary, and this person has never heard of Teams. He doesn't know Microsoft 365. So he doesn't know how to run, for example, a Google Calendar. Right? It's not late, so long as, ladies and gentlemen, you start embracing these things, not tomorrow, but today. The most important thing is for you to start embracing these things today. That is why I really sympathize with anybody who is running towards even if it's my college. If you're running towards, in this case, here, such a college, right, for physical classes, then you are living in yesteryears. I mean, by now I should be very good with Zoom. I should be able to know that once I join a Zoom meeting, I need to lock up my mic, I need to lock up my camera. Those are things I need to be checking. I can only put myself on camera when I'm speaking, right? When I'm speaking. I can only unmute myself when I'm speaking, right? I should be able to know how to pin, for example, how to pin my camera, how to pin my face on the screen, so that you don't have so many other faces popping in when the Zoom meeting is going on. That is how I command my authority in the meetings. When I'm speaking, it should be my video which is pinned. When I finish, for courtesy, I shut my mic, I shut, in this case here, my camera. Right? I should be able to know how to use Google Meets. And there are so many other teleconferencing softwares. Very many teleconferencing softwares that we need to get used to from today. So if you are doing any studies, please remember those studies here should be what here online. Don't forget our number should you want to book for any of our courses. It is 0719 525,000. 0719 525,000. Is there anybody who has any question? Please, if you have any question, type. I'm waiting. And for the students who are with me here, which learning model do you think works for you best? Is it online or physical? Don't go with my earlier statements, but just be honest with me. Tell me which one works best for you. Is it the physical classroom or the online classroom? Physical or online? Which one works with you best? Which one works with you best? Give me answers very fast, and then I'll be able to get an opportunity of taking you around my farm. I have a very good farm here at Isinya, right? Not a commercial really, it's just something for our own consumption, a way of running away from these fertilizers. Yeah, we do organic farming. So Japhet, these students that I taught long time ago, your mwalimu is not, may not have done so much, but at least from the fees used to pay those old days, I was also able to get something to develop a little bit here and there. So I'm a good manager. I'm now studying what here? I'm now studying online. It is the best. You can never go wrong. Great. So our 10 minutes are over, ladies and gentlemen, and because I can see you don't want to engage me, perhaps this is quite early in the morning. I'll be coming later on at exactly 1 to speak more about what here? CS. To speak about CS. For those of you who have just joined us, please, for those of you who have just joined us, please go back to this particular video from the beginning. Look at it again. But what is the parting shot? CS is a major course that should be taken so seriously by all of us. We have got so many people out here, directors, companies, where directors are in so much conflicts, so much disagreements. And if you try going back to study the history of those disagreements, it's because most of the issues that they had agreed upon earlier were not documented down. If we had a CS online, if we are not online, but a CS was engaged with ourselves here from the word go, then ladies and gentlemen would have really gotten ourselves out of what here, most of those boardroom wrangles. CSs, they know when they take minutes, they have to be signed by the directors to confirm that was exactly what was discussed. For serious farms, some of those minutes are even taken to some banks to store them, right? So it's always important for you to have somebody amongst yourselves who is a CS, who will really be taking care of what here, those issues, to avoid conflicts in the future. Somebody will be able to sense from the word go and tell you that, you guys, I'm seeing loopholes here. You know, a CS is like of course he doesn't speak in board meetings. He doesn't even vote there. But trust you me, this person is the think tank of the board. If you remember the story of Enron and how it collapsed. Enron used to be a huge farm. The owners were getting, in this case here, billions and billions in terms of US dollars, right? But of course, as you know, most of us human beings, we are quite greedy. So that couple, after some time, they realized that they should make more than the billions they were making from business. So they thought of coming up with a window-dressed prospectus, right? Engaged a firm which was known as Arthur and Anderson AA. Remember, AA was among the big five. Initially, they used to be called Big Five: PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and then AAA. AAA died with Enron. And they died simply because they're the ones who signed the prospectus. The annual reports in the prospectus were signed, of Enron were signed by who? AAA. As an auditor, when you append your signature in the annual reports, in the financial statements of a company, impliedly, you are telling the public that you are quite assured, reasonable assurance, that this organization will be there in the next 12 months. That its going concern will not come under doubt in the near future. So they went ahead and penned down their hand there, their signature there, saying that the financial statements of Enron portray a true and fair view. So on the basis of that prospectus, these directors were able to sell, offload most of their shares from the company. So they sold most of their shares from the company. Of course, in this case here, the shareholders who are coming in, the new shareholders, were able to make such a decision on the basis of the prospectus, on the basis of the annual reports of Enron that were signed by who? Arthur and Anderson, AA. Right? Right? So shares were sold. 2 months down the line, what happened? The company could no longer be able to meet its obligations when they fell due. They could not even do the bare minimum, the basics. They could not even pay salaries. And this was a behemoth of a company. Right? Right? So, of course, Arthur and Anderson, their future was basically killed by that particular company. They were jailed, long-term jails, right? Jail terms. And then, of course, the owners also like that. So basically, if you follow through that particular case, Enron was able to get into such a big problem simply because they lacked a CS. I mean, if they had a CS in this case here, somebody who has really been, somebody who understands what integrity is. Somebody who understands, ladies and gentlemen, the professional ethics, right? Would not have allowed those guys here to do window dressing. Would not have allowed those guys here to, right, do whatever they did. Ladies and gentlemen, if today you are to become a CS who knows very well the ethics that we teach under this course called CS, you will make these organizations here go to places. Let's not have organizations that we have just begun here, that have pumped our resources dying, and knowing very well that we have a big problem of unemployment in this country. Right? So we need CSs, ladies and gentlemen, who are worth their salt. CSs will be able to drive, though silently, the agenda. And that is why if you look at the new syllabus, they are bringing in other serious papers like strategy. Because as a great CS, you must ensure that the strategy of the organization is aligned with who? The objective, the long-term objective of the company. If that is not the case, if there is misalignment, then automatically the company will get into itself into what we call a strategic drift. It will drift away from reality. It will go the Kodak way. Right? Remember, like now, Kodak is no longer as powerful as it used to be. Kodak, if you remember them. And if you remember Kodak's story very well, they basically suffered from what we call strategic drift. Right? When these mobile phones were coming with very good cameras that you could just take like this and go and print your photo in any cyber cafe or from whatever printers. Those guys were still, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, hold up with their idea of film. And that is why you saw the CEO of Kodak, when Kodak in this case here was being wound up, of course, from this photography business, the CEO came out with the entire board and said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, these men and women you are seeing standing before these cameras here were not thieves. Our only mistake was the strategic drift. That Corona has told the colleges and universities to go online, but there are still colleges, so many of them, which in this case here in this great town of Nairobi, which are paying rents of up to 1 million shillings a month. I mean, is that sustainable? Is that sustainable? It is not sustainable. The earlier in this case here you smell the coffee, right, and say enough is enough, regardless of what is happening, we have to close this and, for example, just be left with a small space like a reception area to receive our clients, the better for you. Otherwise, you will strategically drift from reality, and once you drift from reality, you will have yourself to blame in years to come. You'll not be having that college, you'll not be having that university, right? Ladies and gentlemen, once in this case here, you'll be surprised. And I wish I was, for example, a principal of Alliance High School. I wish this thing could one day reach, this talk could one day reach to the current principal of Alliance High School. I don't know how it will happen. But you see, very many people out here would want an education from Alliance. If there is a way that these guys can innovate and start streaming live their classes out there, and their parents who have started believing in homeschooling, and then of course NEC opens up in a way that students who are studying with some of these secondary schools from home can also have, in this case here, the exams being done in those schools, and of course certificates showing straight away that this is a student from Alliance High School. I'm telling you, these guys can steal the show. And most of these other schools, not unless also they rise up and they take up their qualities, right, of their educations up there in the sky, they'll close shop, right? So I can see my battery has run low. You'll have to bear with me. It has been a pleasure hosting you today. Otherwise, thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you at 1. See you at 1. I'm seeing Andrew here, Elijah. I'm seeing Peter Muigai, Abdirahman. All these were my former students. Thank you very much. How to become a manager for the first time in an organization. So perhaps you've been appointed here as a manager. What you need to do is to understand the basics of management. You need to understand the roles of a manager, what we call POCC, POC, POCCC. You need to be good in planning. You need to be good in organizing. You need to be so good in communications. You need to be so good in coordinations. You've got to be so good in controlling, right? Remember, as a manager, you'll be running like a profit center. At the end of the day, your department has to post a profit. So you must know how to raise revenues through your plans. You must know how to control costs, right? For you to be able to do that, you're not doing this work alone. You are delivering results through what year? Through a team. So you must know how to have the team being coordinated, speaking to other departments, that's coordination, organizing work, and you must be what year? A good communicator. You must be 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 a good communicator. Right? Bye-bye.